Hello everybody and welcome to my vacation. It is September, so it's time for the August photography competition. The results are coming up next. So this one was as tough as any I've had to do so far. And I think I know why. I figured it out. It took me all day yesterday to go through these pictures once and then again after that. We picked a topic that is full of cliches. There aren't that many really original ways to depict liquid and macro in the same photograph. Well, there are. There are lots of ways. But you guys managed to come up with a bunch of really unique ones. The problem was they weren't all unique. And whenever we have a competition where the subject is commonly shot, water drops, for example, it raises the bar on what is going to possibly win quite high. In other words, if you're not getting points for originality, you've got to knock it out of the park on quality. So we had a few people that fell out of the running for that reason. They took a safe road and couldn't make up enough points on quality. And then there were a couple that lost out for technical reasons, a couple for composition. But most of the time, they were all great photographs that lost out to greater photographs in the top 13. There were 13 finalists, and I'm going to do something different this time. In fact, I'm doing a lot of things different this time. One of the things I'm doing different is I'm recording this live in OBS. In other words, I'm going to do the whole thing as if it were a live stream, including pictures from another camera to show you a device I'm getting ready to show you, as well as pictures from across the room up there somewhere. And we're even going to be using my dying phone to take some close-ups. Let me tell you about the sponsor, who's not really a sponsor, but I'm going to call them a sponsor for this video. The reason I'm going to call them a sponsor is it's easier than explaining the story that I'm getting ready to tell you anyway. I got a box in the mail 2 days ago, and in that box was a gift from a company that you know now. This is the Apexel guys. The Apexel folks made a macro lens that goes on the front of your phone. You may remember that round thing in the middle. An absolutely cracking good lens. And I used it. I took it down to the park and down to the pond and shot dragonflies with it and had a great time with it. I've actually used it continuously for the last 2 years to shoot a lot of the stills that I use in my videos. I keep this thing handy. I put it on the phone and take pictures with it, and they often end up in my videos. Anyway, they sent me this thing, which is a light holder for it. And I thought, well, yeah, there you go. It's a light, another LED light, and it's probably nothing very fancy. Well, it's actually amazing. And I am so excited about it, even though I'm not really being sponsored. When you get sponsored, they come to you and say, hey, would you talk about our stuff on your program and we'll give you $500,000? And I would say, yes, please. And then I'd talk about them. In this case, they just sent me this and said, would you look at it? And I did. And I'm talking about them now, but not because I'm getting any money for it. It's because just like with their Apexel lens, I love this thing. But I wanted you to see the thing in action. So before we get to the competition, really, really quickly, I want to show you this thing with a couple of beetles that I've got sitting here on my table, ready to look at through the new thing. Comes in a really cool little case, and it has little bits and bobs on the inside, a lens cleaner and a bag of something or others. They're not snacks. I tried one of them. They're too chewy and taste a bit like plastic. You know, another thing they did, my Apexel lens is now 2 years old and it's been bashing around in the studio. They sent me a fresh one to use this device with, which was cool. Now, I had this device about 10 minutes before I modified it. The modification consists of this. I built a screen diffuser that goes all the way around the light, because the light is on the outside of the, ouch, that was my thumb getting caught in the catch, like that. Without it, it's a little on the harsh side, but with this, it's perfect. And this just clips on your phone. That's what it looks like. Right there, like that, when it's all on. And I've got mine set up so the lens is over the correct lens on the phone. Now, what I'm going to do is zoom in on these little bugs and then switch to that camera so that you can see exactly what I'm doing. So, here we are. I'll line up my little, these are rosemary beetles, by the way. So I'll line them up, zoom in. Now, it took me a few days to learn how to use this the first time on the regular Apexel lens, but I'm better at it now. So see those colors? They did not look like this without this light. Now I can zoom in. I don't think I can zoom in when I'm doing this on the OBS. Well, that's crazy. I'll just record some footage and I'll drop it in. But, you know, you can pump this up to about 12x from here and see right down into those various pores on the beetle. Take my word for it. With this diffused light, this becomes a really impressive phone macro lens. It really does. I guess you just don't have control over the phone when it's plugged in like this, which is a real shame. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to put me back on and I'm just going to take some pictures and show them to you. That's one of my cleverer ideas, I think. We'll just put it on the camera. Yeah, that's more like what it's supposed to look like. So I'll put it on photo. I'll zoom in just like I did a minute ago, only now I'll use the digital zoom as well. And I'll take a picture. And another one. This is really very cool and it does a great job. I have no idea how much it costs. I just got a low battery warning because I unplugged the phone. But that's the kind of picture this thing takes. And for using a phone out in the field, that's pretty impressive, I think. Let me take the diffuser off. The diffuser is just a piece of actually tracing paper because I gave away all of my Kevlar or whatever it was. I can't find the little bit I had left. So anyway, that's what it looks like. I'll turn it off so you can see. There. And the lens moves from side to side and up and down, so it will fit whatever, well, the whole thing moves up and down and then side to side. So it'll fit whatever kind of camera you have, and it stretches out to fit any kind of phone, and you can put it long ways too. So I love it. It really, really helps make this lens even more fun than it already was. Let's get on with the competition. That's not advertising, by the way. That's just me telling you this is a cool thing. A lot of you bought the lens. So you will be the folks who need to get one of these lighting solutions because they really are excellent. Okay, now what we're going to do is I'm going to go through the top 13 in reverse order. And we're going to start at 13, go to 1, and with the exception of number 1, I am going to tell you exactly why it got enough points to be at the position it was at and why it didn't get enough points to be any higher. So I'm going to kind of explain why it from both directions. So hopefully that'll give everybody who's a finalist a little bit of information on what I was thinking when I looked at it. By the way, you know what your prize is? If you live in the continental United States, well, if you live where it's cheap to mail things, you're going to win a macro lens. Now, before you get really excited about that, it's by Zongi. Let me get it. This is it. It's a 20mm f2.0. It's a weird lens. It really is, but it's interesting. Definitely interesting. It's one of the finest three-bladed aperture lenses I've ever used. In fact, it's the only one I've ever seen. But yeah, it's a Free Walker series lens made by Zongi Optical Technology Company Limited. And yeah, and you win this if you live in America. If you don't, because I can't afford postage to other parts of the world, you instead win an hour with me. I'm sorry, yes, I know it seems punitive, but that's what you're going to get, a lesson on something, probably something photographic. Okay, so if you don't if you don't want to win, you can withdraw your entry now. At number 13, which is the first of our places, we have, by the winner of, I guess it was 2 months ago, the stereo winner, Gerald H, turned in, if I can find it, this. This is Racing Car Driver Behind the Wheel by Gerald H. And it is a very unusual water splash photograph. And I'll be honest, I looked at it and I couldn't suspend my disbelief long enough or firmly enough to see this as a water drop. It looked like a composited water drop that had been turned into a race car driver with goggles and hair swept back and helmet and all the rest. It just is one of those pictures that is too what it's trying to depict is too accurately depicted for me to allow myself to believe that this is just a water splash. And once you have that in your head, it's very hard to look at it and think, what a cool capture of a water splash. I'm not saying it isn't a water splash. I'm just saying I can't see it that way. And it caused enough disconcertion, I guess, in me as a judge that I just couldn't score it any higher, but I still wanted to give it a mention because, yeah, it's clever and it's unique and it's an unusual thing to do. So, and it was well shot. It is in sharp focus where it needs to be, and the composition is good. If it really is an straight out of the camera water splash, then that's in a 1 in a billion kind of thing. At number 12, we have Mike Friedrich. I believe it's Friedrich, it could be Frederick, with Water Drop number 2. Now, how I get to that is going to be anybody's guess. Here it is. So this is Water Drop number 2. And the reason this made it into the finals is because it is a technically close to perfect shot. It is sharp where it needs to be sharp. It's pretty much sharp all the way through. The action has been frozen. There's no extraneous blobs flying around. The ripples inside the collision are perfect, as are the little peripheral blobs. The third drop, I guess it is, that's on its way down is also impressive and clean. The whole thing is just about perfect. And as such, even though this is a very overworked, overused trope in competition photography about liquids, it has to get a place. It got place number 12. Great shot, Mike. Well done. At number 11 was a photograph called Spheres of Life by Argo Anthony, or potentially that's Anthony Argo. I don't know, and I might be pronouncing his name wrong. A lot of folks were new to me, this competition. So thank you for doing this. Thank you for being part of it. And if I butcher your name, it's only because I love you. And I'll apologize later. So this is bubbles of gas forming on the underside of a leaf that's wet. Presumably the leaf is breathing and producing these bubbles. I like it. It's clever. It has a cool feel to it. It's a little on the dark side, and I mean on the dark side as in histogram related dark side, not you know what I mean. So these little eyeball looking gas bubbles are fairly sharp. Some of them are sharper than others. Now, I know how hard it is to photograph the surface of a leaf because of the translucence of a lot of those superficial cells. But this does look a little soft in places, and I wonder if this might be a problem with diffraction. I didn't see any EXIF data on it, but it is a clever and a successful photograph. Certainly good enough to get into the final category here, but yeah, it wasn't quite technically perfect enough to make it higher in the list. Now, a very clever photograph from someone with a Sony was a sleeping cuckoo bee. Now, this is a beautiful photograph. Whether this thing is asleep or dead, it's hard to say. It's kind of hooked onto his piece of straw. This is his head, by the way, with his antennae folded down and the wings in their usual posture. And this is how the things sleep, and it's how they hang on a piece of grass when they're dead. But this guy looks like he's asleep in the morning, covered in dew. It's a pretty picture. There are a couple of things about it that I think detracted from it just a little bit. The dew, it has an almost, I'm not suggesting it was sprayed on, but it has a slightly sprayed on look to it with very different sizes of water drops, which is not that big a deal. But it's a bit disconcerting that the wings are not reflecting the light in a similar way. Those wings are usually held parallel, I think. No, hang on, they may be crossed, but the wing closest to us is very much darker and doesn't seem to be getting the light, even though it's up above the thing's body. I don't know why that is. It just makes it look a little less wing-like and a bit more like an extra abdomen that shouldn't be there. I'm really picking away at this because it is a very nice shot. It's well composed. I love the diagonal. I love the background. It's the background. It could be a little smoother. Maybe if you'd gone down a little further on one knee, you could have hidden this white behind the bug. And maybe by rotating just a little bit, you could have darkened this wing up. I don't know. These are just thoughts that would occur to me when I was composing the shot. Because it's so dark, it took me a while to find the eye. And you really want your viewers' attention drawn straight to that. But very successful, very nice photograph. Congratulations on a number 10. Coming in at number 9 with a slime mold in a water drop is Avery Cox. Now, I told you not a month ago that this was a guy that you needed to watch because he's going to show up again and again in things like this. And he did. This is a fantastic water drop picture. And I've already said, you do water drop pictures at your peril because they're going to be hard to place with. Because everybody's doing them, but this is different. This is beautiful, and let me tell you why it really got my attention. Is this was shot under a compound microscope with a 4x objective. That is crazy, in a good way. I've seen Avery's lab, and I know how hard he works at this. To get photographs like this taken with a microscope with such excellent lighting is really hard to believe. I would really like to spend some time learning how this guy does this, because that is as sharp a water drop as I've ever seen. And the fact that it has a mixo in it is just gravy. And beautiful photograph. Congratulations, Avery. Well done. At number 8, Pesanteur by Thomas Bousquet, or Bouquet, or Bousquet. It doesn't really, doesn't matter. I can't pronounce it. So we'll just call you Thomas. Thomas, this is Gravity in English. And it's water drops falling, presumably, by gravity. And I like it. It's subtle. I like the way that you have done this in a single plane of focus, which of course you'd have to do because they're water drops and they're moving. But you've got the central column of water in nice sharp relief. It's very sharp. The out of focus areas are pleasantly out of focus. There is a little bit of noise in this image, which I think detracts from it just a little bit. But all in all, it was a very simple, abstract-looking composition, and I like the little dabs of color, especially them being gold. It looks good. So it's a nice photograph and certainly well deserving of position number 8. At position number 7, no, I won't tell you who it's by, I'll show it to you instead. This is Water Drops on a tendril. Guess, just take a wild guess who took that picture. You are right. This is an Angie Wallace, an original. She is our judge this month for the upcoming Enchanted Flowers competition. Actually, it's not upcoming, it's ongoing. It started a couple of days ago on the 1st. So at the end of the month, Angie and I, that sounded like I would have something to do with it. Angie is going to be judging this competition, and I will be holding the microphone for her. But this is an astonishingly good water drop picture, one of the best. It highlights everything that you should have in one of these images. Your water drops should be just sharp as a tack. They should be interesting in the way they're arranged, and if they're spaced out, they should be spaced out, not necessarily in an orderly row, but they should be interesting. This doesn't get more interesting. This tendril, each with a water drop, and the flower inside is perfect. And that is the coup de grace right there. You can see the background is the flower that she's photographing through the water drops. I imagine this took a good long time to set up, but it's well worth it. She's got the lighting perfect without a single splash of excessive illumination on any of those blobs of water. Just an incredibly successful world-class flower photographer picture. And she is amazing. And I must say, every time I see a new picture of hers, I'm awestruck at her vision. Next up, number 6. This is one that was a theme that showed up again and again. It's by T-Beck, and it's called Stained Glass Window. This is one of several soap film images that show up in these last few slides. And this one is unique in that he has chosen a very unusual plane of color to demonstrate the soap. Instead of picking a bubble or bubbles like most of us would do and going with the curved surface, he's chosen one flat piece of film of water, of soapy water, that is stretched out between two bubbles. I love the angles and the segmented appearance and the very subtle and understated soapy appearance of the rest of the bubbles, with this one incredibly sharp, beautifully colored, slightly facial looking sheet of soap film. It is incredibly successful. If there is anything about it that I hate to even say would cost it points, but it would be this area here that draws the attention a little bit away. Even though we're fading into defocus down here, that's still a bit bothering. This is a bit bothering, but less so, and this works perfectly fine where it is. So I don't know what you could have done differently. I know, T-Beck, that when you're photographing this stuff, there is only one angle that's going to give you the colors that you want. So I think you did a fantastic job, well worthy of position number 6 all by yourself. That is very, very nice. Remember, I was saying earlier about our friend who shot the Avery Cox, who shot the pictures through a microscope. Well, he was at it twice this month, and he managed to make it into the top 13, in fact, into the top 9 with 2 such pictures. And here is the second one. As soon as I can find my pointer, which has just gone AWOL. Here it is. This is even nicer than the last one, which is why it's got a higher ranking, obviously. It's on a piece of vegetation that I'm not familiar with, some type of grass, I would assume. And he has photographed a very strange looking plant. It's a weed, actually. It's called bedstraw. And apparently it's a problem on their farm. And it's just so well done. He's got the drops unbelievably sharp. And that coloration of purple, where it's coming from, what it's reflecting, I don't know. But you can see in the backdrop, there's a little bit of purple back there. But the flowers are uniquely angled. The way that the drops are lensing the flowers on the weed make it look different and make it look like there are several out there. And then the substrate has a character all of its own that just adds to the mystery of it. This tells a story. It's intriguing. My eyes want to just go over it again and again, looking at all of the detail in each of the drops. It's just a very engaging picture. And yes, this was shot under a compound microscope. I just don't know how he does it. I mean, it really is quite amazing. And a very, very successful picture. Congratulations on both place number 9 and place number 5, Avery. At number 4, we see another soap bubble, but this one just turns the trope on its head because I have never seen this done. And it's by Dan Stanifer, excuse me, Dan. Primitive Dan is a better name. I think we'll stick with that. This is his soap bubble picture, and it is breathtaking. Just by changing the camera position, he has made this soap bubble look like a planet that we're orbiting close to the surface, and you can see the ocean and whatever the clouds or smoke or whatever it is on the surface, and then dead ahead, another soap bubble is a galaxy or a universe or whatever is going on out there. It just is, the feeling of space is really captivating. It's a beautiful picture. It is sharp where it needs to be sharp, the in focal plane, and he's picked up good sharpness all the way to the back of the picture. So this must have been a fairly big stack. I don't know how big the water bubble, the water droplets were, but when you're stacking these things, you have got to be very, very careful because they change. These colors swirl over the surface of the soap, and you would have to really select a frame or two to freeze the action. It's probably a single shot, to be honest. I can't see how he could possibly have done it otherwise. But anyway, it's a lovely picture. It's very successful. Primitive Dan, this may only be your second or third competition you've entered, I think. And this is a great showing and a great fourth position picture. At number 3, this one was hard to judge, but I hope that you will agree with me that Wet Tendril by Kevin McGuinness is a masterpiece of understatement. I love this photograph. Instead of a big fancy production with reflections and flowers and other objects in there, this is one single drop of water that has presumably worked its way down to the very end of this tendril and formed a drop there. And the decision to just use the reflected outline of a single light to create this silver hoop, which is actually multiple very fine lines, is a masterpiece. It really is. And the reflection of the stem in the bottom of the blob, the water drop, is really beautifully done. This is one of those paintings. You know, photographs. I've told you this before. One of the categories I use when I'm judging these is the hanging it on my wall ability of the picture. This one got a 10 out of 10. I would absolutely hang that on my wall. And that goes, as it happens, for the next two pictures as well, the second and first place. But this is one that I would love to see on a large print with a nice modern looking frame. It's a beautiful picture. It's just very eye-catching. The closer you look, the more you see, and the detail is perfect, sharp as can be. Beautiful photograph, well thought out, well executed, very successful. Position number 2, the penultimate shot. This one blew me away. And you talk about a picture that needs to be on a big wall in a big frame where people will just ogle at it, is this: a dissolving bubble of film. And who do you think took this picture? It couldn't by any chance be Angie Wallace, could it? Yes, it could. Congratulations, Angie. You've done it again. 2 top place photographs. You've got number 2, and you got number, where did I see? 7. So fantastic showing. This picture is modern art. It's absolutely one of the most enthralling abstracts that I have seen this year. And there is so much in it to draw your attention and make you laugh. There are characters in here. I just don't know how you did it. I really don't know how you got these colors as vibrant as this. You need to tell me the technique, because I would love to try this myself. It looks like, well, you could say it looks like just about anything, but these sections up here in the top look like bone. They look like human bone under the microscope. Yeah, this looks like bone marrow in a way, full of cartoon characters instead of blood cells. Absolutely fantastic. Angie, this is a cracking good photograph. I am blown away by how many good images you come up with. But there is one that I just am almost lost for words on. It's our winner, and it's the first time to be in this competition, I believe. If I'm wrong about that, Pierre, and if you have another name that I would know you by, you must tell me. But your photograph, Water, and this is by Pierre Seurat, is the winner for the August competition. And this is a breathtaking photograph in its clean simplicity, but its incredible depth and complexity once you start looking at it. This could not be better. When I think of air bubbles or water droplets, this is the picture that I would like to think I would be able to make. I don't think I could, but that's what I would be aiming for. This was shot in a glass of sparkling water that the photographer had with him when he was sitting out in his garden. And he just took a picture of the bubbles. But that does not tell the whole story. Each of these bubbles is a lens, an air lens, that's looking through his glass of water and picking up a scene in the background, which you can see in this absolutely gorgeous bokeh. The out of focus areas complement one another so perfectly with the very subtle grays and browns and greens. And you're wondering what it is, and you're wondering what you're looking at, and you start to zoom in on some of these drops, and you see his neighborhood. You see a house with a roof and a parking lot and green trees and something beyond, a lake, I don't know. But all of this is reduced to this gradient of subtle color. And it's just breathtaking. This is another photograph that I would love to see the size of a wall, and just to stand in front of it and soak this one in. This reminds me of some of Graham Carey's photographs. It reminds me of several of you who have a real knack for taking extremely technically excellent photographs and also seeing the beauty of the world around you. This is fantastic. It's a great photograph. It is one of my favorite winners so far of the year. And congratulations to Pierre Soreau. Pierre, this is a killer photograph. Your photograph is going to be on the landing page, the homepage of my website for the next month. And I'm going to be getting in touch with you to get permission, if I can, or to purchase from you a license so that I can print this and put it on my wall, because I am going to print a copy of this if I'm allowed. And yeah, this was an absolutely fantastic competition. It was hard to judge. Next month, or this month I should say, is going to be easy to judge for me. I'm just going to smile and let Angie do all the hard work. I have a vacation that just started, and I'm celebrating it by working more this week than I think I've ever worked before in my life. So there'll be videos coming out every now and again. I hope you enjoyed this competition. I hope you go buy yourself an Apexel light box for your phone. It is so much fun. You're going to love it. It's a great thing to have. And major congratulations and thanks to everybody who participated. I'm sorry I can't show all the images every time I do this, but they were so good. There were so many that were just a fraction of a point from being in the winning circle. But the big hand clap goes to Pierre Soreau for what is an astonishingly lovely picture. And I am going to leave you with that picture. I will see you in the next video. Take care, stay safe, and be well.